What is wrong with you?
You want a list?
Okay.
All right. Raw marriage. Now, this is the podcast where we talk about the gritty side of marriage. The stuff that if you don't talk about them, that if you don't address them head on up front, they could tear your marriage apart from the inside out. I'm going to tell you, we don't want that for you because we are here to help you make love last a lifetime.
Yes, we are.
What do you think we should talk about here today?
I don't know. There's probably several topics that we could talk about here today. But enlighten me.
Now, to be honest with you, today's talk was inspired by the sermon that we just received on Sunday, and it was In Too Deep. And what he was talking about, how you can just be on the teetering on the edge, kind of dancing around the edge and the fringes of sin, but before you know it, you are in too deep.
Okay.
And so, as I'm sitting there and as I'm receiving this, I received the word riptide.
Wow.
Riptide.
What about riptide?
You know what a riptide is?
I think I kind of sort of know, but enlighten me, please.
Okay, today we're going to talk about riptides in marriage. And here's what a riptide is. Have you ever been to the beach? And sometimes it's hard to see, but you know, the waves are just rolling in. The waves are rolling in.
Okay.
But there's also a calm stretch, maybe about 10 to 25 yards of just calm. Waves aren't rolling in, it's just calm. It seems like the safest place to go.
Okay.
Well, that's actually indications of a riptide, because where that calm sea is on top, there is a current underneath that's going to sweep you out to sea.
Oh.
So if you step into the riptide,
okay,
you could find yourself swept away where you thought it was safe. It's actually very dangerous to where you are.
Wow.
So a riptide, yes, in swimming on the beach is very dangerous, but it's also very dangerous in your marriage.
Wow.
So think about it. There are things that you can do in marriage that it looks like they're peaceful, calm, no risk of doing it at all. But just stepping into that riptide unknowingly. You can actually see the riptide if you're conscious of it, if you know what it is. You could step in it and be swept into a place in your marriage where you just don't want to be. You could be swept to the death of your marriage.
Okay, so as you go there, enlighten me about some things that will cause that.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's say, for example, there's this young lady at work.
Okay.
She's very attractive, very intelligent, and you decide, you know what? I'm going to start having lunch with her. We're great friends. We work together. We can talk about work things together.
Okay.
And at first, it just seems very innocent, right? I mean, she's your work buddy, your work sister.
Okay.
But the more time you spend with her, the more lunches you have with her, especially in a social setting, your heart starts to change towards her a little bit. At first, it seemed perfectly all right. You actually didn't even feel like you needed to tell your wife about her.
Wow.
I mean,
okay.
Like if I was going out with Joey or Zach or Bill or Carl, I wouldn't call you up and say, hey, I'm going to go have lunch with Carl today. I wouldn't even think twice about it. And I have to be conscious that this is not a dude.
Okay.
This is a female that even though I have pure and platonic intentions right now, I could very well be swept into a riptide by spending time alone with her.
Yes, because we have learned in your marriage you are not to spend time like that with the opposite sex. If you're going to spend time with the opposite sex, your spouse needs to be with you.
Absolutely. So
that you're not on the line.
And I'll be honest with you, it was very early, years and years and years ago. I mean, I just had a newborn baby, right?
Okay.
And a friend of ours, they also had a newborn baby who was just a few months older than ours. Okay. And I thought, well, they've got some baby clothes that they don't need anymore. We need baby clothes. And they offered to let us have them.
Okay.
That's pretty common whenever you're new parents. But she said something. She says, "Oh well, you can't come pick up these clothes during the day because my husband's not home, and we make it a point to not spend any time apart. Or we make it a point to not spend any time with the opposite gender when both of us are not there.
Makes sense.
And I thought to myself, that is just so archaic. That is just so old world, old school, so puritanical, so whatever. And I actually was somewhat offended whenever I received that, because I started thinking, well, what do you think of me?
Pause. That was your BC.
This was before I had a relationship with Christ.
There you go.
I always believed in Christ, but there gets to be a point in your walk where you realize it's not just enough to believe, because golly, even the demons believe in him. The demons tremble at his name. Okay. They absolutely believe him, but they do not follow him. They do not accept him as their Lord over their lives.
It's to have a relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so since this was in my before time,
yes,
I was still thinking with a very flesh mind. I had no intentions with this lady. Mm-hmm. Not at all. And I received it as a why, oh why would they think or would they feel that this precaution needs to be taken? And now, decades later, I realize, wow, they were so right. Mm-hmm. They were so right. Yep. And it's not that anything would. It's not even in the realm of probability that anything would have happened. However, we get back to Riptide.
Exactly.
You see that calm sea. You see nothing's wrong with this. I don't see why there would be anything wrong with stepping in that water. And the thing is, when you have that mentality, you stay away from anything like that whatsoever. You think like, as Dave Ramsey puts it, Murphy's Law, Uncle Murphy. Okay. If you don't prepare for the worst thing happening, the worst thing is going to happen. Preparation and vigilance. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the other things that a spouse might do that seems perfectly innocent?
Well, I mean, you actually have touched base on, with the opposite sex, you definitely, you want to make sure, like I said, that with opposite sex that you are, don't be on the line. Your spouse needs to be there when you're talking to another female. Just, you don't want it, I think you said it before,
why are you hitting me?
Really? Stop that. What did you say? The appearance.
Oh, yes, avoid all appearances of evil.
Appearance. And that's in the Bible.
Indeed, it is, yes.
Okay. So many times, it's best to have communication. I think we done talked about that plenty of times on here. And to have communication with your spouse, that's key, period. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But when your marriage could be somewhat rocky, it gets that way sometimes, and it will get that way because of non-communication, doing stuff that appearance of evil, basically. So you all of a sudden do, whether the male, has a female coworker, or the female coworker has a male coworker, and then you just, like I said, you just kind of on that line, and you're on the line doing, okay, let's go get, something to eat, or just any little thing, and it may look innocent. However, if there's somebody that is not, from the office that's there with you, or even your spouse, somebody else that could, that know you, could see you and, with the opposite sex and be like, oh, there she goes. She's either cheating on him or he's cheating on her. Well, and it could be, like I said, it's probably not even that. You are just having lunch and discussing work. But again, well,
here's another one. And this looks really, really docile. It looks really, truly benign, innocent. Okay. And this is arranging your life where you have large periods of time when you are accountable to nobody. Say, what? So, like, if I decide I'm going to pick up golfing, but I like to golf alone. And so, twice a month, Saturday afternoon, I go find a golf course somewhere.
Okay.
And I spend the entire afternoon just to myself. And I don't tell anyone the golf course that I'm going to. All you know is that I bought some clubs.
Okay.
And I might have even played with them a few times so it looked like that I've actually used them. But you know, if you start to create gaps in your life where you're accountable to nobody,
okay,
check your heart. Is your heart planning to arrange your life such that you could fit in an affair?
Wow. And
this is kind of how it starts. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it.
Okay.
We just start to make that space in our lives where we can. We meet up with someone and we have no intentions, and then something happens and you say, oh wow, it was just an accident. I didn't mean for that to happen. Well, actually, you didn't mean for it to not happen because you put yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time for it to happen. You put yourself there knowing that it could. And just that very simple thing of giving yourself the excuse of having an accident, it was premeditated. Wow. I actually don't believe in accidents. I really don't. Someone said, oh wow, it was such a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. It was an accident. It wasn't an accident. You put yourself in that position. It's just like last summer when we were hit by a drunk driver. Everyone kept calling it an accident. I said, it was not an accident. It was not an accident. It was a wreck. It was a horrible decision. It was a terrible decision to drink and drive. It was a terrible decision with predictable consequences. And here I am still hurting today because it was not an accident. An accident would have been, wow, I took my eyes off the road for a minute and I had an accident. An accident would have been like what we witnessed the other day where the lady she just did not see the red light. And she was not intoxicated. She wasn't anything going on. It's just that she made a mistake and ran a red light. But in the case where it was a drunk driver causing an accident, that's not an accident. It was a terrible decision with predictable consequences. So are you making terrible decisions that have predictable consequences? Ask yourself. I mean, if I take this step right now, if I go pick up that drink over there, if I go out with my buds drinking, I know I used to have a drinking problem, but I want to hang with my pals. And then I said, well, I'm just going to have one drink with them. Or I'm just going to have water while they're drinking. How long is that going to last? If you put yourself in the position, predictable consequences.
So don't put yourself in that position. So
Exactly. And
or if you, some people have a good willpower though that don't.
They do it. Well, we all have different weaknesses, right?
Mm-hmm, we do.
We all have different weaknesses. For some, it might be immorality. You might have an issue with immorality. Someone else might have an issue with drugs. Someone else might have an issue with alcohol. Someone else might have an issue with throwing out the book, the Bible, throwing out the book and making a decision for myself because I'm prideful and I want what I want. So how can that be a riptide? Well, first of all, deciding that you want what you want, you can see, well, this is an innocent thing. I think it's an innocent thing. I want it to be an innocent thing. And instead of consulting the book, I go and consult my like-minded friends who I know are going to agree with me. Yeah, go ahead and do that thing. Go ahead and do that thing. You work hard, you deserve it. All right, that's another riptide right there, thinking that you deserve something. If we really got what we deserved, with as wretched as we are as people. We have our good moments, we do. But whenever you go to the court of law, say you go there for a traffic ticket, and you spend your entire life driving 5 miles below the speed limit, stopping for yellow lights, you're always doing everything great.
Mm-hmm.
And you even keep a video log, a video record of everything. I mean, there's just tons of footage of proof of how you always a great driver. But then that one time that you're late and you go 15 miles per hour over the speed limit and you get pulled over. When you go to court, you can't say to the judge, well, I'm usually a good driver. And all those good times, all those good things that you did, they actually do not outweigh, well, you got caught this time.
Mm.
The judge might show you some leniency because having a clean record, but quite honestly, he's got every right to, what's it called, throw the book at you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about what we deserve. You can't just say, well, I deserve to be happy in this area. I deserve to have that. Oh, I can't afford that, so let me go into deeper debt just so I can have this thing that I deserve. We have gone off the rails, but have we?
Have we gone off the rails?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason why I ask, have we really gone off the rails, is because if I start making decisions that is just good for me, without considering my spouse, that will drive a rift. That will drive a wedge in between us.
Yeah, if you start buying a whole lot of stuff without consulting me, of course. I mean, we agree to buy the big things, and we get the big things with, we talk to each other about it.
But what's a whole lot of stuff?
I don't know. A whole lot of stuff do you want?
Here's what I'm getting at. A whole lot of stuff, it starts off little.
Okay.
Let me buy this plant. This plant looks really cute. And you bring it home, and it doesn't really raise any eyebrows.
Okay.
And then a month later, you bring home a bigger plant.
Okay.
And then you start buying trees and whole landscaping, but it creeped that way. It was a riptide because at first, just this little plant, it just seemed innocent.
Okay.
And it just keeps escalating.
So you're saying little things can turn into big things.
Yes.
So every purchase, we need to talk about every purchase.
No, I'd say that as a couple, it's good to have a threshold. Like if you say to each other,
what's the threshold?
A threshold.
I mean, I know threshold, but what's the threshold?
It depends on the couple, right?
Okay.
I mean, there's going to be couples out there that they can go balling more than I could ever dream of. Well, not more than I can dream of, because I can dream big. But we have a friend of ours who works at a jewelry store, and people walk in all the time. Let's drop $30,000 on a watch. Let's drop $70,000 on a necklace. And yes, there are people who roll like that.
Okay.
And if that's just a drop in the bucket for them, their threshold is going to be much higher than, say, it is for you and I.
Okay.
We might have a much higher threshold than somebody else. So like if I say, well, let's call it a $100 threshold. If anything's going to cost more than $100, we should at least discuss it.
Ooh.
Or someone else might.
That's a low number. Don't you think it need to be higher than that?
It depends on the couple. See, to me,
free spirit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, it'd be more like $25.
Can you buy for $25? Okay. We digress. We done went off the rails a little bit. Okay, bring it back.
But the point is, regardless of where your threshold is, regardless of what you decide your nominal, your safe place in any particular area is,
okay,
you got to understand that if you start skirting the edge of that and dipping your toe in the water, you can very easily step into what you think is a safe space, but it is a riptide that's going to pull you out to sea. So ask yourself, should I share this, sharing this with my wife, sharing this with my husband, that could actually be throwing a lifeline where I actually don't even know that I need it.
Okay.
Letting my friends know, having accountability partners. Such that whenever you say to them, you know what, man, I want to go to this club. I know what goes on there, but I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be just fine because I've got willpower. And one of these friends could say, I know the kind of life that you used to live. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to cancel my plans so the two of us can go catch a movie instead of you going to this club. I'm going to help you out. And that's part of what we should be doing as brethren, helping each other in our walk, mm-hmm. right? You need to get out. You need to blow off some steam. Well, let's find a healthy and God-honoring way to do that, as opposed to letting you go off and step into a riptide. Accountability partner. Yeah. We all need them. So, as we take a look at riptides and getting in too deep and these things that are avoidable so many times, the path to divorce is avoidable, but we didn't take the steps early on to take a different path. And so we definitely encourage you. You know, we've got this program, it's called companion couples. Mm-hmm. And with companion couples, you can sit down with a counselor once a month, real cheap, and just bring up the small things when they're still small and get them resolved while they're still small. It's so much better, so much easier to talk with someone to do a minor course correction when that's all that's needed, as opposed to coming to a counselor or a therapist when things are broken. And you tell them, well, fix this.
Okay.
Well, you took years dismantling your marriage and you want them to fix it in a month? Okay. I'm not saying it's not possible, but if you do the right things early on, you can avoid getting to that crisis mode.
That is so true. Because by that time, when you get to the counselor, you tell, oh, well, here, just throw everything, you fix it. That's not how counseling works. Like, at all. Yeah. I mean, we help. Counselors help.
And you know what? We can step into our riptides, get to a point where we need some crisis healing, or we can try to stay out of that undertow current to begin with. We got enough to fight in our lives. Why fight ourselves? This is true. So with that, we're going to go ahead and shut this down for today. But I'm Rob Hollis.
And I'm Winona Hollis.
We're my relationship experts. And we're here to help you make love last a lifetime.